All right, ready? I'm going to throw up a beard video. I've done some beard updates recently, but I haven't done an advice video in a while. I made a beard advice video about 6 years ago. It was about a 30-minute long video, and I went into some like extravagant detail on how I maintain a beard and how I trim it and all this stuff that I do. And I ended up, I think when I deleted it, it had like 7,000 views or something like that. But I deleted it because my views on growing a beard have changed dramatically. I've been growing a beard for probably a decade now. Started when I was about 31, and when I first started, it was a nightmare. A little background. My father has always grown a beard every winter, and I remember being a kid and asking him, when will I be able to grow a beard? And he'd laugh and says, well, I started growing a beard when I was about 30. And I'm like, okay. So I remember being in my 20s being like, okay, I'm going to try to grow something. So, did the little goatee, the little mustache. I had this little thin mustache with the little goatee. And then, I tried a couple of times to grow the beard, but it was all splotchy and stuff, and ended up just shaving it off. And then when I got to about 30, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna do my best. So I followed the normal beard advice on YouTube and stuff, and where they say, let it grow for 4 weeks, a month, and then start, trimming in a shape and stuff. That is the biggest bunch of nonsense I've ever heard of. And I did that, and I had some growth through the sides and stuff, so I had this little thin beard, thin mustache, little thin goatee, because that's where, it was growing. So I trimmed everything else because I'm like, well, I want it to look the best that it can. But here's the point that I'm going to make in this video is that's the worst thing you can do. If you want the biggest beard that you could possibly genetically, to your genetics, have, you just let it go. What you're looking at now, this is no maintenance. I do nothing to it. I don't touch it at all, with the exception of, as it's been getting longer, every couple months, I'll comb it down. And if I have any hairs down here that are like, wispy and longer than the rest of it, I'll trim those off. But that's it, just to keep it looking thick. But I don't trim the cheeks, I don't trim the mustache. I do stop my sideburns here just because I shave my head and I don't like them up high. But that's just a personal preference. But I don't trim the back anymore, I don't trim the neck. I just let it go. Some of you have watched my videos and know this, but a major fallacy is believing that your beard grows all at one length over your entire face. It does not. You have terminal length. Your beard will reach terminal length at different points on your face. For example, your mustache does not just continually grow longer and longer. It has a genetically determined point that it will stop growing, and for most people, it's probably like 2 inches. Now this is the middle of your mustache. Like you get out to the edges here, that will grow longer, but in the middle, about 2 inches, that's about all you could hope for. You get closer up the higher on your cheeks, and in this area right here, terminal length happens much faster, and it does grow much slower. That's why I recommend not touching your beard. Most people go with their strengths right off the bat. They'll start growing a beard and they'll immediately trim any weak areas out just to leave the strong points. And just from a genetic standpoint, most people are thick through the jaws, through the jaw area, the front of the chin, and most people, a lot of people have a decent mustache. And my theory on the mustaches is when you're a kid, one of the first things you can grow is a mustache. So you let that grow in, a little bit at least, and that has more of an opportunity over your life span of growing than really much anything else. least that's in my opinion, what I've seen. Being back in high school and college, kids would always let their mustaches grow in a little bit, and then maybe like the goatee, but they're always afraid to let the cheeks grow in because it would be splotchy. When I first started growing a beard, I had nothing on the sides. I had these big gaps in the middle here. Mustache was decent, but I could grow it along the jaw, so that's what I did. And it wasn't until I just one day just said, you know what, this is just not the look I want to go for. So I just let it all go. And for years, I wasn't happy with it, but I just was so determined that I just let it go. And now, as you can see, this is all grown in. Mustache is very full. Up until about 6 months ago, I was doing my best to let the cheeks grow, but then I'd end up trimming them because I have this thing with symmetry. But that's something that you just got to let go. A beard's not going to be symmetrical. If you want it to be as thick as it possibly can be, you got to let it do what it wants to do. And as you can see, this is, I don't know, a month of letting this upper area grow. You can see where my original line was, and all this, and there's self up, you can't see with this phone, but it's about right here and across is where I have hair now. This one goes across like this, but this is a lot thicker through here. But you just gotta let it all go and just try not to look at it. I know that seems simple, and it's actually the hardest thing you could ever do, because most people cannot just let it just do what it wants to do. They gotta trim the crap out of it. They'll go to the barber and they'll trim the back, and everybody tells you gotta trim that neck, but the neck area is what gives your beard its fullness and holds it out. If you trim all this under here, your beard's not gonna hang right. And then you got people that, a lot of people have weak areas here. Like this hair here, I haven't trimmed this in years, and it's still only, a few inches long. This whole area, I mean, it blends into the beard, but it's really no more than a couple inches long. Now, once you get to the end of the chin, that's when it really starts to take off. But like I was, if you watch my videos before, I have a tendency to talk in circles, but I eventually get to the point. The main point here is that your beard's going to grow at different rates, and before you get to that full potential, you just got to let it all go and just not look at it. Leave the cheeks alone, leave the back alone, leave the neck alone, and especially leave this area, and leave the mustache alone. And it will eventually, I'm talking years, I'm not talking months, and I know in the world we live in now, everybody wants something right now. But if you talk to anybody who has a natural full beard like this, that's not manicured, it's not straight in lines, if you were to ask them how long that took them, they'll tell you that it took them years and years and years to get to the point where they have a full natural beard, one that has high cheek lines, full mustache. This area is filled in, and that just comes from just letting it go. Some of the men that I feel have the most impressive beards are like your older guys that just don't care anymore. They stop shaving because they just don't want to shave anymore, and they don't touch it. But you see these guys walking down the street and stuff, these big massive beards that people would kill for, and you ask them how they do it, and they're like, what do you mean? I just don't shave. Like I saw a guy, I repurpose things. I take old antiques and stuff and kind of give them an industrial flair, and I have a little shop I sell stuff in. And I was there the other day, and this older guy, he's probably mid-60s or whatever, and he had a beard like down to here, and it was big. And I always give guys props that have bigger beards than I do. Like, hey man, like your beard. And he said, oh yeah, you too. And I said, do you do anything specific for that? He goes, I haven't shaved in about 20 years. So literally, he's not done anything to it for 20 years, and it's just reached terminal length, and that's just part of his life now. He doesn't even look at it, just gets up and washes it maybe once a week or something. But the point is this is supposed to be simple. We make it too complicated. We want to have it manicured. There's millions of videos on YouTube where guys are, lining it up and going and having it, tapered on the side and stuff. And in my opinion, the reason we have a beard is because we don't want to shave. We don't want to mess with it. And if you just let it go over time, it will eventually fill in. Because I know now, if I were to shave this beard off, I'd probably be amazed at just how dense my actual beard is underneath. I guarantee you, I don't have any more, patches in here. There's no patches in the front because I can see. I just have this big thick beard, and the reason for that is because I've just let it do what it needs to do over many years. But anyway, I just wanted to throw up a little advice there for people that really just want to have a beard, because it's easy just to not do anything. I'll take clippers to my head and take a razor, a Bic down to here, but that's it. Nothing else is done. I put a little beard oil in the morning, and then I don't look at it again until the next day. But anyway, hopefully this will help a couple people. The hardest part is just letting it go, though. It sounds easy, but it took me 10 years of trial and error before I've gotten to this point where I feel confident in just letting it go. I thought I was there about 5 years ago, but then just out of the blue one day, I'd get up and have a bad beard day, and I'd go in with the clippers and I'd hack the crap out of it. But I'm beyond that now. I don't even really look at my beard anymore. I even forget, it's become such a part of me that unless someone gives me a compliment or something, I'm just like, oh yeah, that's right, I do have one. But yeah, it just becomes a part of you, and you just let it become what it's going to be, which is unique to everybody. For me, some people's beards kind of come down an angle. Mine, as I'm letting this grow in, it actually comes down, and I literally comes straight across and then comes down, but that's taken years for me to realize that growth up here, because the hair up here on the cheek grows so super slow, and most people just shave it off because they just get irritated with it. But I gotta tell you, if I was to give you one piece of advice that I wish I'd taken in the beginning, would be not to touch this area at all. Because the first thing you watch a beard video, what do? They go in and line them up, and they go with whatever the strongest area is. So for some guys, it might be like way down here. You just cut half your beard out by doing that. So, number one advice would be, don't ever touch this area. Don't touch this area, and just let all this go. Let it do what it's going to do. And I tell you, 10 years later, I wish I could watch this video now and just be like, okay, I'm not doing anything. Simple. And just not look at it. But anyway, thanks. Later.